Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. This is the first video in hopefully a whole series and a whole channel full of videos of my journey through nursing school and, going through my clinicals, going through my daily life, hopefully doing some vlogs. But before all of that, this video is going to focus on all the little baby steps before getting into the program. So in this video, I just wanted to talk about the prereqs that I took, my TEAS exam, things that helped me study, resources, things like that to help all of you hopefully do well in your prereqs and then do well in your TEAS exam as well. So just like a short introduction about me, my name is Hallie and I am currently halfway through a BSN program. I just finished up all of my prereqs and I've taken my TEAS and I am starting the nursing program in fall of 2025. So I'm very, very excited to get started on that journey. But I figured I didn't have a lot of resources when I started college. I didn't come in with any AA or dual enrollment. I was kind of winging it and hoping that I got good grades. To be completely transparent, I maintained a 4.0 through 5 semesters of prereqs and other general education requirements, and I got a 92 on my TEAS. So I'm hoping that some of the information that I give you guys can be beneficial and that it can help you get into the nursing program that you want to be in. Prerequisites for my nursing program that I'm currently in or going to be starting is you're going to need chemistry. I just did general chem. That was what was required. I know if you have higher level chemistry courses, they'll accept it, but I just did general chemistry. Try to not have as much of a load on my plate, but I did general chemistry. After that, we had general psych, followed by developmental psychology. I know that developmental psych is really important because it focuses on, psychology throughout the lifespan and stuff like that. After developmental psych, you can take, statistics. That was what I took. I believe I did developmental psych and statistics in the same semester, and that wasn't too bad of a class load. And then you have human nutrition, microbiology, human anatomy, and physiology. So we have 8 prerequisites to get into the program. When you go to submit your nursing application, you had to have at least 7 of them done. You have to have like a certain GPA that you maintain. They have like a base for, this is the GPA that we normally accept. You have your science and your non-science GPA, but that's not what this video is about. So those were all of the prereqs that I took along with my gen ed classes, which is just part of the college experience. So for each of these classes, I originally started with no iPad or nothing. That will be my first tip, is to, if you can, get some sort of tablet or iPad that has a pen that you can write on or just something that you can take good fluid notes on. I struggled through a lot of my classes because I was just opening up like a Word doc or a Google Doc and I was trying to type in all the formulas and all the notes. Like the PowerPoint was up there, but I couldn't write on it. I was just kind of winging it on what they were saying. And as soon as I got an iPad about halfway through like my general chemistry in my second semester of college. And that was a lifesaver to me. I could write down the formulas that the teacher was saying, I could solve them, I could take note on, okay, he mentioned this was extra credit. And on mine, I have like the little keyboard. So if I need to like type things up, I can type things up as well. So that's my number 1 tip. I know that iPads and tablets are expensive, but a lot of nursing students use iPads and tablets, and it's been a lifesaver for me. So that's personally what I use. You can write out formulas, you can do drawings and stuff like that. But enough yapping about the iPad. I guess my number 2 tip is don't neglect student tutoring. So at my school, they offer student tutoring for students who have gotten like, say they got an A in a class, they can come back the next semester and run like student ran tutoring sessions. And they're like 50 minutes they generally happen before or after the class. They have test reviews. That helped me so much. I'd never gone to one before I took chemistry, and I had to go to the chemistry one or else I was not gonna pass chemistry. But going and having the formulas rewritten, having different values put in, I remember I was struggling so much with stoichiometry and being able to switch the values through moles and milliliters and all the different units that you have to work with in chemistry, which is really, really important for dosage exams, I have been told. I have a friend who, she's a semester ahead of me, and she's already like, she's done her first semester of the nursing program. Right now she's in like her summer semester. But don't neglect those groups. I've always had a very big ego in, oh, I'm smart, I can do it, I don't need any help. I tell you what, chemistry humbled me, and from that point on, I never took those study sessions for granted. So please go to the study sessions if you have time. If you're struggling in a class, that is like the number one thing that helped me, was just practice, where somebody who had taken the class, they knew what they were doing, they could give us problems and things like that. Lifesaver. Moving on to step number 3 is going to be your like study methods, how you choose to study, if you study better in a group, if you study better by yourself, and that kind of ties into your study methods and your study space. Both of those are really, really important. So for me, even though it looks very dully decorated, this is like my little office that I do all my studying in. I have a little like nice little window that opens up to the road, and I can hear cars going by, I can hear the weather, I can see out sometimes. Like, it's very important to have a study space that you feel, one, safe in, you feel comfortable studying there. It's a place where you can put your head down and get work done, and it's a place that you like going. You shouldn't want to dread having to come into your study space, regardless of if that's in your house, if it's in your dorm, if it's a library on campus. You should always feel good about the study spaces that you're going to, because you will get so much more work done. So me personally, when I study, I put on ambiance music or like lo-fi hip hop, something like that, just to help me study. It's good background noise. It keeps me focused. I like doing I believe it's called Pomodoro, which is where like 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off. That's been really beneficial for me as well, because I work really, really hard and I make sure to stay off of my phone, and then I have 10 minutes, get up, walk around, get something to drink, get a little snack, text back people who have texted me, things like that. And also for me, a study method that really works, I guess, hand in hand with a Pomodoro is teaching myself. I am very much a person who I like to rewrite all of the notes that I've taken. In some of the classes that I've had, they gave us study guides. I will rewrite my study guide answers and teach it back to me, so that by the time that the exam is here, I remember teaching it to myself and talking myself through it. That is not the only way to study, though. I have a lot of friends who, they can just make flashcards and they go bam, bam, bam through flashcards, and that's what helps them learn. Me personally, I like flashcards, but they're not the number one study thing for me. I also prefer to study by myself. I prefer to study by myself. I find that I get more work done because I am a chatterbox. I love to sit and talk. Half the time my study sessions with other people aren't study sessions. I'm just sitting there chit-chatting, which is fine, but I really like to put my head down and get a lot of work done. That's very, very important to me. If you go on Quizlet, you type in like the school that you're going to and then the exam that you're studying for. A lot of times students will create like flashcards for you off of the study guide from that class. That was something that helped me, was kind of going through flashcards with the study guide, teaching the study guide back to myself, and then studying by myself. But I know a lot of people like to bounce questions off of each other. They like to study in a group and have a good group study going. That's really important. So it's good to find what works best for you study-wise and then stick with that. If you need to change up things, that's fine, but finding what works for you and then sticking with it is what's going to help you when you get into higher level classes. Number 4 on my study list is, it kind of ties in with going to the student study sessions, but don't hesitate to reach out to your teachers if you're struggling. But if you're not understanding a concept, reaching out to teachers, going to their office hours, sending them an email. So many teachers really do want to see you succeed, that they're going to take time out of their office hours to help you understand a subject. And even if you feel like, oh my gosh, like I don't understand anything, like none of it makes sense, they're just going to think I'm like a lost cause. I promise that they will not. Like, the teachers who offer office hours genuinely do want to help you. They want to see you succeed, and they'll work with you until you find your niche and you figure out the material that you're learning. So please do not neglect your teachers, your TAs, your GTAs, your STAs, all of that. They are there to help you, and they help so much. Study tip number 5 is going to be studying more for like higher level classes, more so, anatomy and physiology, but getting your hands on models. So I know that this is more so for anatomy because it's kind of like point and shoot questions. But getting your hands on an anatomical model, or being able to look at a poster that's an anatomical model, and, you know, putting little sticky notes over certain areas of the body that you're trying to learn, and then going through that repetition. That's something that is so big for me, is repetition, and being able to see and get my hands on. And, you know, for example, like a model of like an eye, being able to look and be like, okay, here's the pupil and here's the iris, and then you turn it and you have like your oblique muscles and all of that kind of stuff. You can see the back of the eye, you can see the blind spot, you know, things like that. Being able to see that model and spin it around in real time. When you go to take your lab exams and you see, oh, this is a model that I've looked at before, you're gonna feel so much more confident. You're gonna feel good about your answers. You're gonna say, I've seen this before and I know how to answer these questions. Number 6, this isn't necessarily a study tip, but more so something that I really had to struggle with in physiology, because it was a very difficult course for me. Thank the Lord that our teacher, like, she curved every exam and gave us extra credit. So shout out to her. The only reason I got an A in physiology was because of those curves. But with testing, I'm always the most nervous on a first exam and a final exam, because you don't really know what you're getting with the first exam, and then the final exam is like, oh my gosh, like I have to get this score to keep an A. You know, there's always that stress there. But on the first exam, that is what I kind of use as my, I guess what I would say, the first exam is the exam that I want to do the best on, and then second would be obviously the final exam doing the best on. But when you get a high grade in your first exam, that's going to be able to carry you through the rest of the course. So if you do really good on the first exam, say you get like a 90, it's going to be so much easier to keep your grade higher, especially if you don't do so hot on exam 2, you do okay on exam 3. That first 90 that you got is going to help you stay in that 80 range. Whereas on your first exam, if you get like a 60 or something, you're spending the whole semester playing catch up, trying to get to that higher score. So doing, you know, really good on the first exam, that's like the most important thing that I try to focus on with all my classes, is doing well in the first exam. So I'm kind of set where I want to be for the class, and then if I have to have a couple rough exams, it doesn't like plummet my grade. So just a little recap on the prerequisite studying is just find a study method that works best for you, and make sure that you get that set early in your prereqs so that when you get to harder classes, you know what it's going to take. Try to get your hands on an iPad or a tablet if you can. It's just made my life easier, but if you do better on a computer, that's perfectly fine. Just find what works best for you study-wise. Try to get your hand on anatomical models. See things from the best perspective that you can. See things from what's going to help you the most, and try to do really well on that first exam. That is what has saved me through so many classes, is doing well on the first exam, and then you kind of have a little bit of a catch net in case something goes wrong. So now on to the TEAS and how I studied for the TEAS and how I got the score that I did. Again, full transparency, I didn't do very well on my SAT or my ACT. I did okay, I didn't do fantastic. And the TEAS is kind of similar to those. It focuses on, I believe it's English, writing, math, and science. I believe that's what kind of the basic things are. So if you've never heard of the TEAS exam before, the TEAS exam is an entrance exam that is used a lot in getting into nursing school. It's generally submitted with your transcripts. You have your transcripts and your T-score. I believe another exam that's not like the TEAS is the HESI, HESI. I think that's another one that's starting to be used more often. But I took the TEAS. I was shaking submitting my exam. I was like, oh my gosh, like I literally got like a 60. I'm gonna have to retake the whole thing. No, we did good. So the one book that I got the ATI test book, I believe. So I just got the ATI test book. I believe it's the TEAS 7th version. That was the one that I took. It's a thick, I'll put a picture here. It's like a thick yellow book that has a bunch of different chapters on it on what's going to be on the test. It kind of explains the different concepts that could be on there. And I think it has 2 full-size practice tests in the back. And you may also get access to study resources online. So I know that I went onto the ATI website and did like a couple little practice tests for the TEAS, just like little sections, and that really helped me a lot. There was also, I can't remember the name of the website, but I will link it in the description once I find it, because it was very, very helpful. And it's good if you're starting early for studying on your TEAS. So once you have your TEAS date booked, or you kind of have an idea when you're wanting to take your TEAS, you go on this website, you put in, you know, this is how many days until I take my TEAS exam, and it lines out a study schedule for you. This is completely free. You can pay to get like more study stuff for each day, but the basic version is completely free. And it lines up like, okay, you have, 60 days until you take your TEAS exam. On day 60, you're going to study this concept from chemistry, this concept from anatomy, this concept from English. And you go through each of the little modules. It takes you through what you need to learn. And it basically crams a whole TEAS exam into whatever time span you have. Obviously, if you have 2 weeks, it's going to be a lot. But try to start earlier, and then you have little bites every single day so that you're learning what is going to be on your TEAS exam. Really, really great website that kind of sets up the planning for you, and you just go in every single day and complete those modules. Again, like I said, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I will link it in the description, and possibly put the name of it right here just so that you guys can see it and know, because I can't remember right now. With the TEAS itself, just like a little bit of information about it. It took me, I believe, 2.5 to 3 hours to complete. It is a long exam. It's just like the SAT, where they give you little breaks in between each class that you're taking, or each like section of the exam. So you'll take English and they offer you a little break. You do your science and they give you a little break. So you do have the option if you want to get up, walk around, get a snack, that kind of stuff. If you do that though, you have to redo like the camera stuff. So for me, I did mine at home. I could have went to a university testing center and done it at the university, but I did it at home. They have it proctored. I believe it's live proctored as well. So they like do a scan of your room. Basically, you show them like your room, you show them what's on your desk. If anything happens, you have to tell like, hey, this happened, like I'm going to do this, or I have to do that. Just so that they don't flag your exam, and then you run the risk of being in trouble with cheating or misconduct. So it is proctored and lockdown browser. You can't open any other tabs, stuff like that. Once you get your score, you find out that you actually did way better than you thought. And I feel like it's like that for a lot of exams. The exams, you feel like, oh my gosh, like I smoked that, I did great. Half the time you do good, half the time you don't. The exams, you're like, oh my God, I totally failed. Again, half the times you did fail, and half the times you did amazing, like blew it out of the water. So I think with that is all of the tips and tricks that I have for doing well on, doing well on your prereqs, doing well on your TEAS exam. If you guys have any questions, please put them down in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them and give you guys some extra study tips if I can think of them. But a lot of it is just about managing your time really well. And that's something that's going to take you really far into nursing school as well, is being able to manage your time, know when to study, how to study. You kind of build these foundations in your prereqs, and then you go from there with nursing. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I wish you all the best of luck with your prereqs and your TEAS exam. Like I said, if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below, and I will get down there to them. Hopefully, once I get into nursing school and I start going to classes, we'll start having more vlog-like videos or more day-in-the-life kind of chats on what I'm doing and what classes are like, and more tips and tricks. So thank you guys again, and I wish you all the best of luck. Bye!